Hey everybody, I'm Jack Reda with Future Pastimes, and I'm one of the designers for the CHOAM and Richese expansion for the 2019 edition of the classic Dune board game from Gale Force 9. And in this video, I'm actually going to be talking to a special guest, and that is the artist on this expansion, who happens to be my daughter, Solveig. So I'll be asking her about the process of doing the art for this expansion, some of the background about how she was selected to do the art for it, and just fun facts about the expansion and doing art in general. All right, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Solveig Reda. I'm Jack's daughter. I'm currently a senior student at VCU Arts studying illustration, and I had the opportunity to illustrate the CHOAM and Richese expansion.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about how you got selected to do that. How did you get this gig?
Well, obviously a different artist did both the base game and the first expansion. However, he was unable to do the artwork for the CHOAM and Richese expansion, and that was actually determined rather late in the process, so we found ourselves sort of in desperate need of a new artist, and since my dad was a designer on the project, he encouraged me to send in a portfolio and some sample artwork that I had done in the style of the Dune board game. This actually being the sample piece that I did, although she's gone under some modifications since the initial drawing.
Yes, we reread the book that she appears in.
Turns out she has short hair.
Yes, your first version, longer-haired version of Melina Aru.
Yes.
But, yeah, it was still pretty similar.
Yeah, and luckily for me, Gale Force 9 was happy to have me, and so I got to work. I actually did all of the illustrations for the expansion in about a month. Upwards of 50 illustrations, because we were already behind schedule, and
yeah, there's 11, actually 13 portraits, because there's 2 on the shields. There's 11 trader cards, so those leader discs have portraits. The 6 Stronghold cards, I think it's 14 leader skills, 10 of the treachery cards for the Richese faction, the silhouettes for the force tokens, and so yeah, there was plenty to illustrate.
yes.
Talk about the 3 different styles of art that actually Ilya uses in these Dune games.
Yeah, so the previous artist had 3 styles that we used for the games, the first being the portraiture, obviously, which is used for the leaders in all of the factions. I think this was the easiest one for me to sort of slip into, since character illustration is something that I'm already very interested in and passionate about. So it was fairly easy for me to study his style and then I think replicate that in a fairly efficient way, even if my hand is still visible in it. Then there's the sort of pseudo silhouette styles. It's minimal color, heavy emphasis on line work, and these sort of very bold black shapes. This is something that's fairly atypical for me to do, but it was a lot of fun sort of exploring something that I wouldn't necessarily do myself. And I'm pretty happy with how a lot of those cards came out. And then finally, there's this very graphic landscape style that we did for the Strongholds and obviously for the box cover. I think that was the most far removed from any way that I would typically work, and therefore also the most rewarding. I'm very happy with how the Stronghold cards turned out.
Yeah, I would say that is probably the closest match in terms of style, and a lot of people that I've talked to were surprised to learn that it was a different artist.
That was my goal, for it to be a very seamless transition. I wanted all of the box covers, obviously, to look like they belonged together.
So I want to talk about the leader skills, because one of the things that we introduced with the leader skill cards were little flashes of color, and the color has meaning. So can you talk a little bit about how that played into it?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's find some good examples here. Unlike the Richese cards, the leader cards incorporate, in several examples, color. So the red sash on the Swordmaster, for example, and the yellow in the Warmaster. And these are tied into the colors of your weapon treachery cards, for example, have a red header, and therefore the leader skills that have to do with weapon treachery cards have red incorporated into the illustrations. And likewise for the other treachery cards.
Right, the defense has blue. Some of them key on the worthless cards, and they have kind of a mustardy color
Yep.
in their banners. So we thought it would be fun to make those visual connections for players, whether they notice them or not.
Hopefully it's a helpful visual indicator of how the card is supposed to be used, or at least a quick reminder.
Also on the leader skills, it seems like you've got basically two people that are realizing a lot of different career paths. So a man and a woman, but it's like, well, if this guy was a war master versus if he were a smuggler, and likewise the Pranabendhu woman who's also a Rahani decipherer, and just I liked that kind of every man, every woman element.
Right. The thought is that since these leader skills can be applied to a wide number of leaders in the game, it's not necessarily meant to be anchored to one specific person. It's the idea that all of these leaders have the possibility to become a war master or a smuggler, etc.
Tell me a little bit about the Stronghold art, because we played around with some stuff that we wanted to insert into that imagery.
Yes. For anyone who's paying very, very, very close attention and is maybe a mega Dune fan, we snuck a couple of Easter eggs into the game, one of which, my favorite of which, being in the Carthag card art. One of the buildings in the illustration is actually inspired by a piece of concept art for the Dune film that never was quite realized.
Jodorowsky's Dune.
That's
yes.
right, and it was a piece of Geiger's concept artwork. And so if you look very closely, you'll see that building featured in Carthag.
We also wanted to, like in the Habanya Siege image, the footprints that the Fremen is leaving behind them are clearly meant to be without rhythm, so that they won't attract the worm. And on the Arakeen image, if you're familiar with the map on the board, you'll see the shield wall in the distance, but closer is Rimwall West, which is a very skinny sliver of rock that borders right on the Arakeen stronghold for that map. And and I liked how you incorporated, you had an Ornithopter card that is a Richese treachery card, but then the Ornithopter shows up in the Tuic Siege art as well, and you can see that there are some guild crates inside the cave. That's where the guild starts in the game. So just I really liked the little touches that you had in there. There's some of that a little bit to a lesser extent in the Richese treachery cards. So I liked the Samuda drug, for instance, is, the idea with Samuda drug was that it's supposed to be tied to this really strange music. So you've got a little musical.
Yes, right. This was a difficult card to figure out how we wanted to visually interpret. Again, because the music is an important element of the drug, especially in the books, and so how to tie that in visually was a challenge that I think we're both pretty happy with how we solved that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Mine as well.
I think Stoneburner also is a crowd pleaser.
Oh, good.
And it just has this really. It looks like it was a homemade
Pipe bomb. I don't know.
atomic device that clearly is having an effect on the environment around it as well. So I enjoyed that. It's amazing what you're able to accomplish with just that simple line art approach. Let me ask you what some of your favorite pieces are from the expansion that you did, the stuff that you were especially happy with, other than Samuda Drug.
Well, I feel like this is maybe obvious, but the cover art is something that I'm especially proud of. Obviously, because it's on the cover, I put a lot of time into making sure that it really accurately represented just how much I love Dune, and how great this expansion is, as someone who also loves the board game. I've said it before, but Carthag was probably my favorite Stronghold card, both because I loved the concept art that we snuck in there, but also because I was very happy with how the final illustration turned out. Let's take a look at the leader portraits. I think I was especially happy with Lady Jalma. I was pretty happy with this one as well. Hello Around was a special request at the behest of my father to perhaps resemble him. And I think I did a pretty alright job.
Yeah, you make me look young and fit, so I'm all into that. How about a funny or interesting story from your experience playing the game?
That's good. I'll tell you this, I love to play as the Fremen because the whole auction part of the game stresses me out. I don't like gambling, and I like to start the game as poor as possible so that I have a really great excuse for not participating in any of the auctions.
Well, that's a first for me. I hadn't heard that one before.
It's the truth.
All right, well, Solv, I hope that you will be illustrating Dune expansions for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I love Dune. This was a fantastic project for me to get to work on. And board game illustration is something that I really enjoyed and I hope to do more of in the future.
Yeah, I'm really happy with your portfolio. I'm going to show off a few choice things here at the end of the video just to brag about some of your work and give you a chance to show off some stuff. And we'll put a link to your site so that people can go check out some of your other work. And do you have information on there about how to follow you on Instagram or whatever else?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so you can get all that on there. All right. All right, well, thanks, Solv. I'm glad you were able to take some time out of your busy schedule of drawing to be part of this video. So thank you for watching the video. If you've got any questions for me or for Solv about the artwork, be sure to let us know in the comments. Let us know what your favorite art in the CHOAM and Richese expansion is and why. And I hope that you are getting and playing this expansion. It was a lot of fun for us to design, and it was a lot of fun for Solveig to illustrate. And I just love having it as part of my Dune collection. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.